Legacy media.
You thought that you'd be safe in your tower.
Mainstream media.
Isolated from the people below. But the truth has undermined your foundation by so many people now in the know. You thought that you'd see the day that you could just get away from the ones you betrayed, who raised their voices to say you won't be trusted anymore.
Yeah, the song is the same. It's just the times that have changed. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's the 24th of September, 2025, Wednesday, hump day, don't be a chump and crump day. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and these are the WTF reports. As if we don't have enough reason to say, WTF! It just never stops. Just doesn't stop. I'm exhausted. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing more and more people posting on social media explaining how absolutely exhausted, wasted, they're completely just burnt out because it just keeps going on. Day after day, we see crime, we see shootings, we see corruption, we see wars, terrorism, treason. It goes on, and it never stops. And we never see any arrests. No, they just keep on doing it. And it's not like it's new. This has been going on, for a long time. And I'm going to start this show off. I'm going to turn the clock back a half a century. 1975. Actually, it was 1976 when the movie was released. But it was being filmed in 1975, and the movie I'm discussing is the movie Network. If you have not seen Network, run screaming to your whatever you've got and watch Network. The dialogue in that movie, it could be released today, and it would be just as pertinent. And it's the story about a network anchorman who's going through a process of having a nervous breakdown, but only because he sees what's going on. And I'm going to share this particular clip because you've all heard this before. I mean, how many times have you heard, let me see, where is it? This thing right here.
We're mad as hell and we're not going to take this anymore.
We're mad as hell and we're not going to take this anymore. Well, that's where that phrase came from, is the movie Network. And this is what Howard Beale said. And I'm starting off the show to go back, a half a century to show you that nothing has changed. And maybe we can talk about why afterwards. Anyway, here's the very famous speech that Howard Beale gives, as he's going on the air for the network news. Here it is.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I want you to get up right now. Get up, go to your windows, open them, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Things have got to change.
How many stations does this go out?
You've got to get mad.
67.
You've got to say,
I know it goes to Louisville and Atlanta.
I'm not going to take this anymore. Then we'll figure out what to do about the depression and the inflation and the oil crisis. But first, get up out of your chairs, open the window, stick your head out and yell, and say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Who are you talking to, Herb?
CGG, Atlanta.
Are they yelling in Atlanta, Herb?
Are they yelling in Atlanta, Ted?
But first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
They're yelling in Baton Rouge.
God damn it. Get up out of your chair.
Son of a bitch! We struck the mother load!
Stick your head out of the window, open it, and stick your head out and keep yelling and yell, I'm as mad as hell, I'm not going to take this anymore. Just get up from your chairs right now. Go to
Where
the
you
window.
going? I want to see if anybody's yelling.
Open it and stick your head out and yell and keep yelling. I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take this anymore.
I'm mad as hell! I'm not gonna take it anymore! I'm mad as hell! I'm not gonna take it anymore!
I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore.
I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna
I'm not going to take it anymore.
I'm
mad as hell.
Can you imagine what it would be like if everybody was to finally, once and for all, get up out of your chairs and get involved? Start screaming from the rooftops. You see, the liberals, the Democrats, the left-wingers, they are very much involved in activism. They really are. But the conservatives, no, they just want to go along to get along. And it's time now for the conservatives to roll up your sleeves, contacting your elected representatives, your congresspersons, your senators, even your council members, your city council, your local lawmakers. Let them know how you feel about this. It's not going to change unless people actually get involved. And at this point, we may be at the point of no return. I don't know. I certainly hope not. I hope we can turn this thing around. But I have to tell you, folks, I'm looking around the world and seeing what's going on. And if our existence, if our lifetime, if our manifestation on this earth is a test, well, I have to tell you, humanity, you are failing miserably. Your priorities are completely and totally out of whack. And I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. I don't think so. I'm not stupid. And I don't lie. I mean, that's just the way I've been all my life. But I look at what's going on in this world, and I can't see any sanity coming from either party. There's so much anger, so much hatred, so much discontent and discord. And somehow, and look at the world leaders, what are they doing? They're building up more weapons of war, more war, more war. Can you imagine how many hundreds of trillions of dollars have been spent on weapons of war? Can you imagine what it would be like if those hundreds of trillions of dollars were used to build infrastructure and to utilize the technologies that have been suppressed? The zero-point energy, the Tesla technology, the magnet motors that are out there, the motors and engines that run on water, the Stan Meyer technology, the Rife technology. And by the way, for those of you listening, if you haven't checked out the Wave Watch, that's why that's one of my sponsors. I wouldn't be standing behind it if I didn't believe in it. So the little shameless plug there, But no, seriously. I don't know what level of stupidity that humanity has to reach before they stop and say, yeah, well, maybe I'm wrong. Well, people have the inability to admit that they're wrong. Like Mark Twain had said, it's always easier to fool people than it is to convince them they've been fooled, because ego and pride get in the way, along with lust for money and power. And that's one of the reasons why I basically bailed from the 9/11 Truth Movement. And I'll get to that in a couple of minutes, because Tucker Carlson has just come out with a 5-part series about the 9/11 attacks. And I'm waiting to see the whole series. I'll bet you bottom dollar there's a couple of issues that he won't touch like a third rail, and I'll get to those in a couple of minutes. But I do want to mention this level of insanity. I mean, this is just crazy. Just, okay, for instance, what was it yesterday? Trump came out and he was telling people that Tylenol has now possibly been linked to birth defects and ADHD and autism. And so all the Trump haters out there, all the people that have been programmed, and by the way, I mean that literally, programmed by the mainstream media, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, all of you, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all of you, you're guilty of manipulating and misdirecting the American people. And I'll get to that. There's a couple things I wanted to get to, but right off the bat, some of these people, okay, I want to turn the clock back to 2023. Okay, for those idiots out there who hate Trump so much, he comes out and says Tylenol's not good for you if you're pregnant. And you know how many pregnant women are posting on social media? They've turned their camera on. They show everybody their belly. Look at my pregnant belly. Here it is. I'm going to have a baby. And I'm going to take Tylenol because I hate Trump. And the woman reaches over, grabs a jar full of Tylenol, shakes a fistful, throws it in her mouth, and chugs it down because she hates Trump. Because they say he's a liar, he's a this and that. Well, let's turn the clock back to 2023, to 2 years ago. Fox News reported the following.
Fox Business Alert, take a look at shares of Kenvue. They are up about 1.6%. Kenvue is the consumer products unit J&J spun off back in August. Shares hitting a one-month high at this hour after it received a favorable court ruling related to a class action lawsuit.
Listen up.
The lawsuit claimed that exposure to Tylenol during pregnancy caused birth disorders. The federal judge in the case issued an order that will not allow the plaintiffs to present evidence for a link between prenatal exposure to Tylenol and autism or ADHD. JP Morgan added Kenvue to its focus list, saying the ruling effectively collapses the plaintiff's case in this litigation.
Isn't that amazing? 2 years ago, Fox News reported that. But these, Trump-hating, libtards are so filled with blind rage that if Orange Man says it, it must be the opposite. Trump could bring forward a cure for cancer, and they would condemn him for it. There's a Dr. Barke, Dr. John Barke, who basically put out the following statement, and he just posted this, I think it was yesterday, right after the announcement.
Morning message, Tuesday, September 23rd, Toxic Tuesday. Yesterday at the White House, a press conference was held regarding autism. And it was announced that there is a relationship, a causation between acetaminophen, most commonly known as brand name Tylenol, taken during pregnancy, and autism. I've been talking about this for a long time. That is, acetaminophen is a over-the-counter product that is in many drugs that is very dangerous to take. Why? It depletes the body's glutathione. Tylenol is the number one cause of accidental overdose and visits to the emergency department. It is the leading cause of acute liver failure and the need for a liver transplant. Originally owned by Johnson & Johnson, it was spun off several years ago to another company. Of course, acetaminophen manufacturers are pushing back. Those that take money from Big Pharma are pushing back. There are claims that there is no direct causation, only correlation. Regardless, acetaminophen is a drug that should not be taken during pregnancy, let alone taken at all. Great caution needs to be used as it is contained in many over-the-counter products. There is also discussion about a treatment for autism for some patients, product called leucovorin. I'm going to be talking about this in more depth at a future reel. In addition, vaccines were discussed. Not giving newborns hepatitis B, that's a good start. Uncoupling vaccines so as not to give combinations. as the combination overwhelms the body's immune system. More on this to follow, but for now, no. Acetaminophen should be avoided during pregnancy, non-pregnancy, with children, with adults.
Yep, there you go. That's Dr. John Barke telling you exactly what they've known for quite some time, is that this Tylenol stuff is not good stuff. But remember, folks, their plan is population reduction in any and all ways possible. And that's not conspiracy theory. That's exactly what their goals are. They've been open about it. And like I said many times, it was literally etched in stone in the Georgia Guidestones, which were blown up a couple of years ago. But I mean, the insanity of these people fisting Tylenol because Orange Man bad. Oh my gosh, can you imagine the regret that they're going to have when they give birth and they find out that the baby has some serious problems? And it's because they were fisting Tylenol because Orange Man bad. Here's a woman who posted something. This is interesting. Listen to this.
To the pregnant women downing Tylenol right now as a spite to Trump and RFK, I really highly urge you to do any lick of research, because if you did, you would know that Tylenol has been involved in billions and billions of dollars worth of lawsuits since just the 90s for fetal abnormality, liver failure, neurological deficits in the unborn child. Did you know that according to the National Institute of Health, over 50% of annual liver failures have a direct link to Tylenol? Did you also know that over 20% of liver transplants every single year have a direct link to Tylenol as well? No, probably not, because again, there are a lot of things your doctors do not tell you, and way too many lawsuits have been targeted at J&J for this very reason. Trump did not say, if you take Tylenol, you're gonna give your baby autism. He didn't say, stop taking Tylenol. He didn't say, we're taking Tylenol off the shelf. He said verbatim, you have the choice to take whatever you want, just do it with your doctor and be cautious. And that angers some of you so much that even with scientific evidence from over 10 reputable medical universities, some of the best in the world, and our own health institutes also citing data as to how Tylenol has historically been incredibly dangerous and that J&J has failed to disclose these issues, you will still call Trump incompetent and wrong. No, you shouldn't take medical advice from anyone that doesn't have a medical degree or isn't a scientist or isn't a researcher. But there might be a reason that all of these reputable institutions have not only done these studies for numerous decades now, but have also had specific findings. There's also a reason that Tylenol is one of the most common poisonings in our country every single year, because even under doctor's advice, and even if you take the perfect dosage, it's incredibly easy to overdose. And because of this, way too many people have. Again, one of the most common poisonings every single year. There also might be a reason that the NIH is telling you, hey, it can do a lot of damage, please be careful. That has nothing to do with Trump. And just because Trump is the one saying it and you hate him, doesn't mean you should discredit everything else. And it doesn't mean that if you are pregnant, you should go fisting a bottle of Tylenol. That is absurd. If you hate Trump more than you love your baby, that is something you need to sort out with a therapist.
That's right.
Not take Tylenol for. But you've made it clear that you don't care about the unborn anyway, because according to you, it's just a worthless clump of cells, right? So why would you even care what Trump would say about pregnancy and autism anyway?
That's about the size of it. She says you need therapy, and I hate to agree with her, but you know, it's deeds, not words. And I look at what the left is doing. And they're insane. They're crazy. I mean, and I feel sorry for them because they are a direct result of the mainstream media pumping their brains with intellectual fecal matter. I've said it many times before. If you're consuming intellectual fecal matter, you're going to end up with stuff for brains. Fill in the blank. You know, and unfortunately, it's all the innocent people, and it's not their fault. They're innocent. It's just that they've been lied to. They haven't been told the truth. They've been manipulated. They've been gaslight. They've been lied to. And that's why I stand by my theme song that I used to come into the show with It's called You Won't Be Trusted Anymore, and I wrote that 30 flaming years ago because the media's been lying to you all this time. Of course, if you point that out, you're nothing but a conspiracy theorist. You hate your country. You're a racist. You're a homophobe. You're an anti-Semite. You're this, that, whatever. Every label that they can throw at you, every insult that they can throw at you. But, I feel sorry because, like I said, all the people who have been swallowing the horse hockey that they've been feeding you all this time, no, it's not your fault. It's because they lied to you. And, more and more people are waking up to the lies. As a matter of fact, there's a woman who posted a thing called a thing called Nobody Told Me, and I'll get to it in just a second here. Let's see, who do we have on the phone? Somebody's calling in. And please, listen to your phone. Do not listen to your computer because there's a delay there. Who do we have there? Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. This is Cynthia.
Hey, Cynthia, how you doing?
Well, pretty good. Over 30 years ago, I heard from a friend of mine who is German that Tylenol is only allowed in Germany if at all, with N-acetylcysteine added to it. The combination is far safer than Tylenol by itself.
Okay, Tylenol and what?
N-acetylcysteine. Cysteine, I think. So we should be asking why our country allowed Tylenol to be sold by itself when other countries required it to be marketed combined with this other the N-acetylcysteine increases your glutathione.
Why are you asking? Why would they do that? The answer is easy. It's real. I'm surprised you haven't figured that out, Cynthia. Oh, come now. You know the answer.
We've got to stop calling out the government and just say the people who are in control of our government.
That's right.
You have to be looking very closely at who they are, how they're related, and why they would be doing the things destructive to America, and why they're behind the licensing of physicians. You know about Rockefeller medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So if the doctors don't do the way they're told to do, they can lose their license.
Correct.
I'm old enough that I span back to the time when they weren't looking over our shoulders so closely, and we could do pretty much damn anything we wanted as long as, we took good care of people. And they have circumvented that in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Obamacare made it even worse.
Oh, yeah. Well, the NDAA rescinding of the Smith-Mundt Act didn't help.
Well, a lot of protections were removed. But the control of your physicians, you really need to think about doing a county constitution that expresses the need for medical freedom, and that you're not going to allow your physicians to be handcuffed by these other agencies from outside the county, and start standing up to help protect them.
Well, you remember during the COVID thing, during COVID, physicians were being threatened if they even dared to suggest any other protocol other than the remdesivir and ventilators. And this is when they were saying that ivermectin was horse goo and it's no good for you, and hydroxychloroquine is no good for you. And now we find out 5 years later that it actually was good for you. Not only is it good for you, but it also fights cancer. So
that information was circulated in the information circles you and I circulate in, but he didn't make it into the mainstream news.
No, because as you pointed out, the mainstream networks are controlled. And you say, okay, well, it's controlled by the government. Well, who's controlling the government? Well, the people who lust for money and power. Is it possibly Blue State? When
I was in medical school, which was down in Galveston, Texas, I have no recollection of anybody standing outside our institutions leafleting on issues of medical freedom, or even on natural cures for cancer, or the use of vitamin C to do certain things that nothing else could do. So I'm going to encourage conservatives, or liberals, whoever, who wants to get information out there to the new doctors, the ones in training when they're still open-minded, and get out there and leaflet on these issues. How, showing how toxic these things were and that it was hidden from physicians. Turn them into little rebels early.
Well, you can be a rebel, but I mean, if you don't have a very big footprint, then you'll do just fine because they're not going to come after you. But if you start to get a big following, that's where they start, making efforts to shut you up or shut you down or shut you out.
Well, you know my story, right? Yeah. I researched what was in the textbooks on sleep apnea and what was in the research literature, and realized that the textbooks were actually misleading, and they were hiding the information.
Of course they were.
Physicians were being encouraged to put people who had symptoms of sleep apnea on prescription antidepressants.
Mm-hmm.
And the enormity of that struck home when I had a chance to talk to the co-director of the forensic psychiatry program at Harvard, and he was asserting that people got sleep apnea because they had a bad attitude towards life.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
instead
okay.
of the reverse, which is that you have sleep apnea, and without good sleep and good oxygen, you might have a terrible temper.
Mm-hmm. Well, keep in mind that a lot of these textbooks for the medical facilities are published by Pergamon Press. Now, Pergamon Press was owned by Robert Maxwell, who was Ghislaine Maxwell's father, and he was Mossad, which is connected to Blue State. Okay, I mean, you just got to follow the rabbit trail, look at the, follow the money trail, who's behind it. So it's not hard to point that out. So anyway, you got
somebody has just pointed out a significant business connection between Donald J. Trump and George Soros.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually on the same side.
Yeah, I know.
Why
I'm starting to see that too.
The reason they would be like that is because Donald J. Trump has pronounced that he wants to follow in the footsteps of Abraham Lincoln. Think about it. He declared military law. He imprisoned thousands of members of the press, and he invaded the South, which was a separate country at the time he invaded, and he invaded states that hadn't even seceded to arrest their legislature so they couldn't vote to secede.
Yeah, well, we're getting, that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother can of worms there. So I want to sort of stay on track here about this medical issue and about the media lying to us about this. So anyway,
well,
I'm
sure
go ahead.
Tylenol is not a good idea, pregnant or not, but I don't think we should stop looking at the vaccinations as one of the causes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to be sure that comes across, that not saying we don't have to keep looking there, because we do. Mm-hmm. We know that was implicated. One of the vaccines in particular was implicated in autism in black boys.
Yeah, that's right.
And they destroyed the research. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen. Thank you
for letting me have a say.
No worries. I appreciate your participation in the show. Thank you. You take care. Okay. This whole thing, like she was just saying, there's so much misinformation that's been put out there, and so much information that has been withheld from the public to basically force a particular agenda. Okay, now what that agenda is, well, it's not hard to try to figure out once you start putting the puzzle pieces together. But here's a woman that posted some very obvious statements, and this is why people have to stand up and let their ears open up. The Bible says, none so blind than those with eyes that will not see, and those with ears that will not hear. Open your ears, open your mind, open your eyes, pay attention. Here's a woman that's paying attention.
When I was pregnant with Evelyn, no one ever told me anything about the childhood poke schedule. No one told me the flu shot would increase my risk for miscarriage. No one told me that the Tdap had never been tested on pregnant women. No one told me that it would cause me to be an asymptomatic carrier and be able to give it to my baby without even knowing. No one told me that the vitamin K shot came with a black box warning. No one told me that even though it was negative for Hep B, they were still going to give that to my baby. All they did was hand me a piece of paper and tell me to give her Tylenol if needed, and that rashes and fevers are normal. And no one told me that Tylenol actually causes reactions to be far worse. No one read me an actual insert which lists far more serious reactions like seizures and brain damage. No one mentioned MTHFR, and no one told me that she could be more susceptible to injury. No one told me there's no double-blind placebo tests, and they just assured me that they are safe.
That's right. No one told you. No one told you. No one told you. The pharmacists and the doctors need to be held accountable. They really do. Their number one rule of law is do no harm, and that's exactly what they have done. They have done a tremendous amount of harm. And not only that, but the media, like I said, the media, I hold the media, their feet to the fire. Okay, because the damage is done. They're at the point now where they just want to say, oh, okay, yeah, well, we were wrong about this. Let's, forgive and forget, and let's just move along, Wait a second. Just wait a second. 5 years ago, during this whole hokey-pokey thingy-dingy push that they were, shoving down the American public and indeed the rest of the world, they were lying through their teeth and they were censoring anyone who had anything correct to offer. As a matter of fact, let me see, who is it? The former YouTube CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Susan Wojcicki, she admits that they were censoring over 1 million COVID videos, many of them from doctors. Listen to this.
When it comes to vaccines, vaccine hesitancy, videos that cause a public health risk, where do you want to see YouTube do better?
Well, first of all, we've taken responsibility very seriously. It's been one of my top priorities, and with regard to COVID and with regard to vaccines, that has been a top priority for us. And we have a number of different ways that we address that. So first of all, we want to make sure that if there's information that violates our policies, we came up with 10 different policies around COVID. Then if that's a violation of policies, then that's something that we'll remove.
What kind of fool do you think I am?
We removed over 1 million videos associated with COVID.
Have you talked to the Biden administration at all about vaccine hesitancy or vaccine misinformation?
Well, we did an event actually with the Biden administration, including President Biden himself, with a number of creators, Fauci as well.
I wonder if there's anything that you see in, the way that anti-vaxxers behave on the platform, if there are any data or insights there that could be helpful to people understanding where they're coming from.
We try to understand what are the different ways that we can break through. So we talked about in this campaign that we did about getting back to the things that you love. So what we really tried to do was get not just from the experts, but also people that were not experts, but who were explaining, like, why did they take the vaccine? Why was that relevant for them? And what was their thought process?
Okay,
when it comes to...
so there she is basically backtracking a bit. Saying, hey, look, we're just doing, what the experts are telling us, et cetera, et cetera. But wait a second. Just wait a second here. Like I said, turn the clock back 5 years during this whole thing. Doctors were being deplatformed. They were having their licenses pulled. They were not allowed to give a write a prescription for ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, which we now know that were tremendously beneficial. They were not allowed to even suggest preventative measures like zinc or vitamin C or quinine. No. No, you were supposed to stick by the protocol, remdesivir and ventilators. That was the protocol. Now, it wasn't just that, folks. Let's also remember the media's handling of the Hunter Biden laptop and the media's handling about people screaming about the inconsistencies in the voting machines. Now, it's because of the lies and the subterfuge and the manipulation of the mainstream media that this country is as screwed up now as it is. They are the ones who did it. Because, how do people get their information? They watch TV. The overwhelming majority of Americans get their information from the television, from the networks, or from the newspapers, the Newsweek or the New York Times or what have you. And they're all controlled. They were all manipulated. And so we've got this problem now with all these illegal immigrants all over the country. Why? Because under the Biden administration, they convinced all of the meatheads out there that this is, we're trying to give them a better opportunity for life, et cetera, et cetera. And the libtards just kept swallowing it hook, line, and sinker. And a lot of the conservatives did too. But the bottom line here, folks, is that the media has to be held responsible. They're responsible for the 2020 election being screwed up by withholding the Hunter Biden laptop information, which they lied about, said it was Russian disinformation. And then after Trump did get in there, he got thrown out, and then all the lawsuits coming out, that was going on during his first administration. The media is right at the front of the top of the list as being the most responsible for the problems that we're having in this country right now. I don't think there's anybody who can argue that fact. But anyway, okay, I got to change gears a little bit here. I've got a bunch of other things that I wanted to get to. I mentioned earlier that Tucker Carlson has just released a 5-part series on the 9/11 attacks. And he's actually exposing this whole thing. I got a couple of quick clips here because he's noticing who's pulling the strings. And a lot of Americans are. We're all talking about AIPAC. We're all talking about the blue state. And now with Charlie Kirk being assassinated, and the FBI official story is so filled with holes and inconsistencies. Thank God we've got the internet now, because there are a lot of internet sleuths out there that are doing a much better job than the FBI in trying to figure out what the heck happened to Charlie Kirk. But anyway, here's Tucker Carlson, and he is noticing. That's a magic word, noticing.
Bibi's running around. This is a fact. I'm not guessing about this because I talked to people he said it to. Is running around the Middle East, his region, and his own country, and telling people point blank, just stating it, I control the United States. I control Donald Trump. He's saying that. And again, I'm not guessing at all. That's a fact. And I dare them to say that's not true, because it is true and they know it's true. So I'm an American. How do you think it makes me feel? Even if I didn't vote for Trump, which I did vote, I campaigned for Trump. But even if it was Joe Biden, I'm an American. You can't it's too humiliating. I can't handle that.
Okay, I'm going to pause it for a second because Bibi Netanyahu is on video back in the 90s. And somebody was, they had a video camera going. He told them to turn off the camera, and maybe they didn't. And he was speaking, in, what is it? Not Yiddish, not Hebrew, whatever. But he flat out and said, yeah, we control the government. We control Clinton. Clinton does what I tell them to do. So yes, Israel has been controlling our government. This is the United States of Israel.
And I shouldn't have to put up with that. This is a country of 9 million people. I'm not even attacking the country. I'm attacking my leaders who are allowing my nation of 350 million people to be forced into doing things that are bad for me and my children.
Hold on, caller.
Because of some other country? Like, that is a violation of the most basic arrangement we have with our leaders, which is represent us, please, at least most of the time, and they're not. And there's an ongoing humiliation ritual designed to make us all crazy, designed to turn us into haters. I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of becoming what they call me. I'm not a hater, and I'm never going to become one. But I will never accept this. I shouldn't have to accept it. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I have no unexpressed views. I'm not hiding anything. I say exactly what I think all the time. This is wrong, and if it's not wrong, tell me how it's not wrong. Why don't you stop attacking me and my trying to get family members fired, which they never stop doing? Why don't you instead tell me how you disagree with me? But they can't, because they don't actually have an argument. There's no way to justify controlling the U.S. government for the purposes of another country's, whatever their plan is, expansion. There's no way to justify that. And so they just scream at you and call you names. And I guess I'm just blessed because I don't believe that about myself. So that doesn't hurt me. If they said, well, you've gained 10 pounds, you might hurt my feelings. But calling me a bigot doesn't hurt my feelings because I know that I'm not.
Okay, thank you, Tucker. That's the only weapon that they have are insults and attacks when you're speaking the truth. All right, we got a caller on the line. Okay, who do we have and where are you calling from?
Okay, this is Melissa in Maryland, and you can tell me if you would like this postponed until Friday because I'm about to completely change the subject on you, so should I go ahead?
Yeah, let's wait till Friday. You know, I appreciate your input, but, you know, sometimes we have a caller comes in with a completely different topic, and they grab the steering wheel and take the show in a different direction. So
I guess you don't want to have an accident.
No. But, yeah, we'll have open lines Friday. Just as a quick heads up, what is it that you wanted to talk about so I can get prepared a little bit?
No, that's fine. I just wanted to discuss, photo IDs and what information should be on a photo ID versus what information is on a photo ID.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
I get it. Discuss whether or not we have excessive information on photo IDs.
Well, the photo IDs that they got now have chips on them, and those chips can have a whole lot more information on them than a lot of people realize. So we can talk about that on Friday.
Okay, see ya.
Thank you much. Thank you, sweetie. Okay, yeah, well, she's right. She's right. We brought that up in the past, these ID cards that they want to put out. Yeah, they got a chip on them, and they're going to have a whole lot more information about you than you realize. But anyway, I just wanted to get back to this whole thing with the 9/11 issue. Tucker has come out with this 5-part series, and for those of you regular listeners out there, you know about my history, and if you don't, please check it out. Go to my website, davevonKleist.com, and you can click on the 9/11 information there. I produced 2 documentary films. The first one was 9/11 in Plain Sight. That was in 2004. And it went viral. It hit like 10 men. Got a lot of people ticked off, including Alex Jones. And hey, maybe somebody can tag Alex out there. Say, hey, Alex, I've been offering you an open hand and not a clenched fist all these years. And for some reason, you got pissed off at me because I put out there a video that just, went really viral. So, but anyway, yeah, tag Alex and say, hey, Alex, I'm offering you an open hand and not a clenched fist. And I'm sure he's not going to want to take it anyway. But no, seriously, when I came out with 9/11 in Plain Sight, there were a couple of issues that I brought to the table. And if you haven't seen the documentary, go to my website, davevonKleist.com, click on the 9/11 button, and you can watch 9/11 in Plain Sight for free. And anyway, two of the issues, actually, that I brought forward that I have yet to see anybody else address, one of which is the fact that the collapse of the outer ring of the Pentagon didn't happen until 28 minutes after the event, whatever that event was. We were told that it was a Boeing 757 that slammed into the Pentagon and created that big collapse that we saw. That was the official narrative. However, when you see the video footage that was taken before the collapse, something hit the Pentagon. There's no doubt about that. Okay, but whatever hit made about a 16-foot hole, something like that, and the Pentagon, the outer ring, was still intact. It was still, it was damaged there, obviously, but the collapse didn't happen until 28 minutes later, and I got the video of it. It's on video. So you have to ask the question, how does this video exist? Because if it was a 757, the answer is it shouldn't if it's a 757. So that's one issue that nobody wanted to talk about, and I haven't seen anybody else address that issue. I could be wrong. Maybe some other 9/11 researcher has talked about that, but to the best of my knowledge, no one has had the guts to touch on that. Now, the other big issue that I addressed in 9/11 in Plain Sight, and I also followed up in the sequel, 9/11 Ripple Effect, and that should also be posted at my website, is the issue of the pod and the flash. The flash occurred before the planes hit the towers, and you could see it on both of the videos of both towers. Now, we all saw the first plane hitting the tower. Remember the footage, the firefighters in the streets of New York, and then you hear the plane flies overhead. They all turn and look just in time to see the plane smash into the North Tower. And if you take that video footage and slow it down, you'll notice that there's a bright flash before the plane hit the tower. So, wait a second, what is that flash? Well, then, what was it, about 15 minutes later? Let me see, it was from 8:46 to 9:03. Okay, it was 17 minutes later on live television, worldwide, We saw the South Tower get hit by Flight 175. And there were many cameras on. And I got 4 different angles in my video documentary that show the same flash that was caught on the North Tower strike. And that flash occurs, like I said, from 4 different angles. And I've had several people that have analyzed that, including airline pilots. And one of those angles clearly shows that flash reflecting off of the fuselage of the plane. The flash did not occur at the point of impact. It was a bit to the right. And it just so happens that there appears to be an anomaly, something attached to the belly of the plane. Now, for lack of a better word, we called it a pod. And for my efforts, I was called a pod person. And you know what? The 9/11 truth community, I became somewhat of a pariah with them. Because, they said to me, well, what is that? And I said, I don't know what it is. And they said, well, if you don't know what it is, you shouldn't talk about it. And I said, if we don't talk about it, how will we ever know what it is? It deserves our attention. So the point is that, I was somewhat blackballed and shunned by the 9/11 truth movement because I would not remove that from my documentary film. They got PO'd at me. And that was, by the way, the 9/11 In Plain Sight documentary came out of about a month before Dylan Avery and Jason Burmis came out with Loose Change. Loose Change was that's a very good documentary. I'm not going to take that away from them. But in Loose Change, in the first edition, he also addressed the flash and the pod. But you see, like I said, a lot of the 9/11 truthers, they came to me and said, you got to take that out of there. You don't know what it is, so you shouldn't talk about it. Well, I can't help but think that maybe, I'm not saying this is factual, but maybe Dylan Avery came under the same pressure because what happened is that shortly after that, he came out with Loose Change second edition. And in the second edition, for whatever reason, I'm not going to speculate, he says he did it because of time restraints. Okay, well, that's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a vital piece of information. This is a huge clue as to what was going on, but for whatever reason, he took it out. And when he took it out, the 9/11 truth community opened the doors and threw confetti in the air and embraced him as one of the major contributors to the 9/11 truth movement, which is fine. I'm not in this for an ego stroke. I didn't feel slighted by it. I found it rather curious that they did not want to have this conversation. So the point is, though, I would encourage everybody, go to my website, DaveVonKleist.com. You can watch 9/11 In Plain Sight, and I'll make sure that the 9/11 Ripple Effect, that's the sequel that came out in 2007, I'll make sure that is posted. Because you know what? Every time somebody posts that on YouTube, it gets taken down. There's a lot of stuff that I posted that got taken down. But anyway, now it's on Rumble. I only found it a few weeks ago. I didn't realize that somebody had reposted it, so that's great. So, but anyway, I wanted to put that out there because, nobody's talking about these two issues. They're not talking about the collapse of the Pentagon, and they're not talking about the flash or the pod. So, I mean, this is something that I really think that needs to be addressed, and I'd be curious to see if Tucker Carlson is going to address these points. I highly doubt it, though. But anyway, so those are a couple of things that I wanted to get to. And there's also one more issue that is extremely important right now, and that is that there's a bill in California that has already been passed by the California representatives, and it's already been passed by the Senate. All it needs now is a signature from Governor Newsom to make this law. Now, oh my gosh, let me see if I can pull this up. I had it here. Where did it go? Okay, here it is. Listen to this, folks. You want to talk about an attack on free speech? Because people are noticing and they're saying, wait a second, we need to take another look at Blue State. What is Bibi Netanyahu doing here? You can't talk about Bibi Netanyahu. You can't talk about Israel. You can't talk about anything. You can diss the United States. You can diss your elected officials. You can diss anything you want, but you can't diss Israel. Wait till you hear this.
California Senator Henry Stern is trying to pass a law that would fine social media companies up to $1 million if a user's post can be construed the wrong way by politicians like him. Let me tell you a quick funny story about this Senator Henry Stern. When I was asking about the housing bill that Newsom was going to push through in Pacific Palisades, this Henry Stern made a post on his IG story posting some fake news story about me from 15 years ago. And then when I posted about Henry Stern, guess what? I guess he went to all his little friends at the state Senate and he was like, we got to come up with a way where if Spencer Pratt says something about us and Newsom, we can get him deplatformed. So I'll be very concerned, because do you think TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or any of these companies are going to risk $1 million fine from Newsom because of something like Spencer Pratt posts on his TikTok? Of course not. They're going to get a notification email from the state of California that Spencer Pratt said this on TikTok. It's misinformation. Boom. My account will be gone on whatever page the video was. And since I post them on all my pages, I would lose all my social media. So make sure you call. Anybody can call, obviously. You don't have to be, but call California Senator Henry Stern, and you should just tell him he should throw his little bill in the trash. I know a lot of people are concerned about free speech. This seems like a speech issue we should be discussing.
No kidding. No kidding. They're doing everything they can to shut down any narrative that is opposed to what they want shoved down your gullet. That's the way it is, folks. So that's SB 771 in California, Senate Bill 771. And again, it's already gone through the legislature and the Senate, and now it's all up to Governor Newsom. Oh my gosh, you're in deep trouble, California. Well, actually, we all are. Because up to now, if they didn't like what you were saying, they'd go after you. Now they're going to go after the media platform and find them like, $1 million or whatever and send you to jail. Yeah, free speech is definitely under attack, folks. And this is all the more reason why we have to not allow them to shut us down. And that's why I'm saying to all the conservatives out there, you're up against the liberals. The liberals are activists. They're all, rolling their sleeves up and getting their hands dirty and getting involved and pushing their particular agenda. And most conservatives are sitting at home waiting for the next football game. Well, those times are over, folks. You got to start getting yourself involved. And I'm not trying to browbeat you or anything like that, but how the heck are we going to take our country back if we don't, reach out and take it? They're not going to hand it to you. That's for damn sure. Anyway, oh my gosh, I got a bunch of other things I wanted to get to. I'll have to save them for tomorrow. Oh yeah, the one more thing I want to emphasize, that Ian Carroll, bless his heart, he has done an amazing analysis of what happened with Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I'm here to tell you, I've been screaming from the rooftops from day one that the official narrative stinks to high heaven. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. But thanks to the internet sleuths that are out there doing an enormous amount of background and research and analysis, et cetera, I mean, my gosh, they're doing such a better job investigating this than the FBI. And why? Because the FBI is part of the cover-up. Because they're controlled by somebody else. You can put the puzzle pieces together if you dare to do so. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, folks. Don't you dare speak out. Don't you do any research. No, don't you do that. You just listen to what they tell you. Just go along to get along. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your head down. None of your business. No, stop. Just stop doing that. All right, this hour went by quickly. All right, I so much appreciate your listenership, and if you do enjoy the program, please do business with our advertisers. I didn't even talk about the Get More Tank today, so please visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, Get More Tank, and check out the Wave Watch. That's how we keep the lights on and grow the program. So anyway, that said, I'll be back tomorrow, and I'm not quite sure which direction the show's going to take, but again, every day there's more stuff coming out about the Charlie Kirk assassination, so I'll probably touch on that. All right, that said, we're flat out of time here. I'm out of here. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I'll see you tomorrow.
You want to be trusted.